How's it going, y'all? Today I'm going to be drinking Bombay Sapphire Gin for the first time, which overall I am quite curious to do, as Bombay Sapphire is, in my opinion at least, one of the most recognizable and iconic varieties of gin ever made. And I've heard both a lot of good and bad things about it. As such, have grown curious to find out just how it actually is for myself for the very first time, and figured, hey, why not do that today? Overall, I am quite curious to give this variety of gin a go, and to find out just how it lines up against the singular other gin that I've tried previously, because this is a London dry gin, and what I tried previously was not a London dry gin. It was a Japanese gin, which I imagine is probably going to be quite different than this. As such, today I'm not just going to be trying the Bombay Sapphire gin for the first time, I'm also going to be trying a London dry gin for the very first time as well. And after I drink this gin right here straight and actually find out what the flavor is like, I also want to find out just how it is as a mixer too, and I in specific want to try the Bombay Sapphire in a gin and Sprite. Thing is though, I've never actually tried a gin and Sprite before, and so as such there are 3 first times going on during this video today. I'm going to be trying the Bombay Sapphire gin for the first time, I'm going to be trying a London dry gin for the first time, and I'm also going to be trying a gin and Sprite for the very first time as well. Overall, I am looking forward to this experience without a doubt. I am quite excited to drink some alcohol today, no question in my mind. I bought this bottle of the Bombay Sapphire London Dry Gin at my local liquor store a week or two ago for $12.95 USD. For that price, I got 375 milliliters of gin with an ABV of 47%, a proof of 94, and I got a gin that was made in England with quote-unquote exotic botanicals. I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and, after a quick promo portion, start going over the very iconic packaging of the Bombay Sapphire. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get the cap all off. I'm going to go ahead and give this liquor a smell for the first time, let you guys know exactly what it smells like. Then I'm going to go ahead and pour some in a glass I have with me today, and I am going to take a sip and find out just what the flavor of Bombay Sapphire is like for the very first time, and I'm going to find out just what a London Dry is like for the very first time as well. And after I drink some Bombay Sapphire straight, I'm then going to mix them up with some Sprite, find out just how it is as a mixer, and find out just how a gin and Sprite is for the very first time as well. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on this gin, and I'm going to give it a rating as well. But first off, as said, before I even cover the packaging, I do have something that I would like to promote real quick, and that something is my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. The poems within this book are not good poems, but this is a good poetry book that I do highly recommend you check out on Amazon. It's available today, right now on Amazon for $14.99, and you can find the link to my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, in the description and comments down below. Make sure to go check it out. And yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say for the little promotion portion of this video today. I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and now cover the packaging of the Bombay Sapphire Gin, now shouldn't I? And we can see that this bottle right here is very much that of a squared off bottle with some angled corners. These aren't 90-degree angles by any means. It's got sort of a soft corner touch to the more square bottle than not. But of course, at the very top up here, it's not square. This is a round sort of opening at the very top with a, I would have to say, dark blue cap on it. But then underneath, we can see the squared off bottle with the extremely iconic blue tint to it. Now, will the Bombay Sapphire Gin on the inside actually have a blue tint to the liquid itself? I honestly don't know if it will or will not. I don't know if the bottle itself is blue tinted or if it's the gin on the inside. I genuinely have no idea. I'm quite excited to find that out as well, but just from what I can tell, it looks like it might be a combination of both, with the fact that this area up top is not blue tinted, it's just kind of clear in all honesty. Don't know, but very excited to find out whether the gin itself is, or if the bottle itself is blue tinted. I have no idea which it's going to be. But yes, we get what looks like at least a very blue tinted squared off bottle. We get a label on the front right here. Some sort of, I would have to say, this is almost, oh man, is this like sticker or is this sort of like actually engraved into the bottle itself, because there's a bunch of stuff on either side of the sides of the bottles. It's hard to say whether that's engraved into the bottle or whether that's a sticker or not, but it really feels more like it's engraved in, but I can't say for sure. And then of course on the back we get another little label right there. Let's go ahead and actually start covering the details of the bottle though. But what I can say definitely for sure, without a doubt, before we go ahead and start covering the details of the bottle, is that this is one of the most iconic bottles of gin ever made, if not one of the most iconic bottles of liquor ever made in general. The blue tint, the squared off look, the white label on the front with the stamp right here, it's super iconic. And I gotta admit, while this packaging might not be my exact thing, it is well done and is super easy to spot on the shelf. One of the easiest liquors to find in a liquor store. And without a doubt, they knew what they were doing when they designed this bottle. This is an extremely iconic bottle, no question in my mind. Let's go ahead and start off with the details though, with the cap up here. We can see the background color for the cap itself is that of a, I would have to say dark, almost midnight blue, but we can see on the very top of the cap, we get a gold text that just says Bombay twice, just right there. And that's really all that's going on the top of the lid. We can see there's a little bit of a sticker right here that is really trying to make everything look a little bit more fancy than not. This is not a particularly expensive, like a super expensive gin by any means, but they're still trying to make it look luxury with some gold and with some intricate designs and whatnot. And they're doing that with this sticker right here. They're really trying to sell you on this gin. We get a white background with gold going around the edges, and I have a gnat going into my face right now. And towards the bottom, there's a little bit of that midnight blue once again going around the gold. We can see in black, it just says imported right there. And there's a little bit of a line going around that as well. And there's a gnat in my face. That's distracting me just a little bit. I am sitting in the middle of a field on like an 80-degree day, so it makes sense that the bugs are out, but it's still not appreciated, I will acknowledge. But underneath the imported text and underneath the white background right here, we can see that the sticker itself gets a little bit thinner, kind of goes out again, and has a rounded bottom. That gnat will not go away. And we can see there's a little bit of a gold circle right here with some portions sticking out and a little bit of a sapphire in the middle right there, looking like a medal. And I really do think that this sticker right here is trying to look like some sort of medal or award that you wear on your chest, like a military award or something like that kind of thing. Not exactly sure, but if I had to hazard a guess, that's probably what it's trying to look like. And taking a look at the gold itself, it's very much out of a reflective gold. And the gold right here, I don't think it shows up on camera, but there are some details to it that we cannot really see on the camera screen. And yeah, that's all that's going on with this sticker right here. Let's go ahead and move down below to the actual label itself, which is kind of in between two sort of recessements in the bottle. So of course we have the bottle goes down, but then it goes down just a little bit more, just to become a little bit more flat for the label to really sit more flat, so it's more distinct on the shelf. And there's a little bit of a bump right here, a little bit of a bump right above the label, and this label just sits right in between those two bumps. We can see we get a white background just right here all throughout the label. We get a little bit of a gold border going on the inside of that white, and within that gold there is a little bit of that sort of really dark midnight blue, I would say. And on the inside of this background, we get the actual iconic Bombay Sapphire logo and design right here. Just says Bombay Sapphire in an extremely stylized font, I would have to say. And that text is all in that dark midnight blue with a very distinct, very bold, very shiny gold border going all the way around all of the text, both right here and right here. And in the middle, we get what looks like some sort of medal or some sort of like image that you would see if you open up like a locket around around your neck or something like that kind of thing. And we can see, yeah, it is very much got a blue tinge to the sort of design right here, really trying to emphasize the sapphire-ness of the Bombay Sapphire, of course. And we can see the design itself overall has a gold sort of border going around it and gold details within, but there's also different shades of blue as well. It starts off with a crown up here with some details in the gold. We get the gold down here, but then there's also gold around the edges, and then there's more down here. Down here it looks like there's a sapphire in the middle right there, and there's some squared off sapphires going around the edges. But right here we have what I think is the Queen of England. Well, what was the Queen of England, I do suppose is really the right way of putting it these days. Rest in peace, of course, of course. And there is some embossment going on with this general design. The Bombay Sapphire text itself is embossed, and it does have a different texture than the rest of the label. The rest of the label is kind of a papery texture, but this is a sort of glossy, almost sort of sticky under the finger texture. I would have to say a very printed, inky texture, for sure, and the same can be said about this right here too. And definitely, overall, this is a very intricate design in my opinion, and that's very much what the Bombay Sapphire sort of iconic design right here actually looks like. Below that, we get some more information to sell you on this bottle. Just says under that in cursive in that dark blue, it just says distilled London dry gin, just right there. The dry gin portion is in gold with a blue background, or not background, but border. And then under that, it just says vapor infused. And we can definitely tell that this is from England because they spell vapor, not V-A-P-O-R. It's spelled V-A-P-O-U-R, which is not how vapor is spelled in the United States. So that's definitely gives that definitely gives this bottle a little bit of an exotic look to it, without a doubt. And yeah, that's very much what's going on right there. Then below the vapor infused text, which is in that dark blue, we get a gold line right there, and in between that just says hand selected exotic botanicals. And there's a bunch of cursive, just trying to make this look fancy and everything like that. And then under that, it just says from a 1761 recipe, apparently, imported product of England. And then under that it just says 375 milliliters, 47% alcohol by volume, 94 proof. And yeah, that's really all that's going on with the front label. Overall, does a good job of both looking iconic and telling you exactly what this is. The Bombay Sapphire sort of logo and text right here, definitely very iconic, very recognizable, but then it tells you exactly what this is. It's a London dry gin, vapor infused, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's just a marketing thing. I have no idea. Might not mean anything in all honesty. And then hand-selected exotic botanicals. They're not just telling you what this gin is, they're also selling you on this gin. Overall, good packaging, good for sales, iconic, and while it's not my exact personal preferences when it comes to aesthetics, this is without a doubt one of the most iconic bottles of alcohol of all time. So I mean, like, it's great packaging kind of thing. I cannot diss it one bit. Let's go ahead and now cover the back of the packaging, and let's go over this right here, which is very much just trying to sell you on the bottle more, and it's got some additional information. We could see white label once again, curved up top, just like the front label is, but flat on the bottom, and we can see that same sort of border going around the inside of the white label. Just says Bombay Sapphire right there, and then under that we get a market segmentation spiel in extremely small dark blue text. Just says, the tantalizing, smooth, and complex taste that you experience when you sip Bombay Sapphire gin is described as fresh citrus and juniper flavors combined with an elegant, light, spicy finish. Based on our secret 1761 recipe, the 10 exotic botanicals are hand-selected to ensure their superior quality. Then their natural flavors are captured through a delicate distillation process called vapor infusion. All this care and expertise combines to give Bombay Sapphire its distinctive taste, which perfectly complements the zesty lemon in the refreshing Bombay Sapphire Collins, which I assume is some sort of like probably mixer or some sort of it's probably a tonic water honestly. That's probably what that is, or some sort of mixer or something like that. So not only are they selling you on this bottle, on the back of the bottle, they're also selling you on their other products as well. I see the grind. They got that grind set going on. I respect it, you know what I'm saying? I respect it. Under the market segmentation spiel, though, we got a government warning just saying that women should not drink alcohol while pregnant. And then after that, it just says imported by the Bombay Spirits Company, USA, Coral Gables, Florida, distilled from 100% grain, the Bombay Sapphire, or the Bombay Spirits Company, the Bombay Sapphire Distillery, Laverstroke Mill, Laverstroke, Hampshire, and the UK. You can get money back in like California and some other states, not for underage sale, of course. We get the barcode right there. They've got a website, and just says recycle it, and just says trademarks and whatnot kind of thing, responsibly drinking, all that sort of fun stuff. And that's really all that's going on the back of the bottle. Moving on to the sides of the bottle right here, we could see all of the different exotic additions to the gin, I do suppose. Hand-selected botanicals, that's what they're called. On this side of the bottle, it's saying that you get grains of paradise from West Africa. You also get kuleb berries from Java, cassia bark from Indochina, almonds from Spain, licorice from China. You also get juniper berries from Italy, lemon peel from Spain, coriander seeds from Morocco, angelica root from Saxony, and orris Irish root from Italy. And we get a little design for what all of those look like as well, which is pretty nice. That is pretty nice. And yeah, that's really all that's going on with the packaging overall. The bottom doesn't really have anything going on, just a little bit of a texture right there. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on with the look of the bottle of the Bombay Sapphire Gin. Very iconic. Decent look, in my opinion, not to my personal aesthetic preferences, but it's the Bombay Sapphire. It's one of the most iconic gins ever made, in my personal opinion, just by looks alone. Will it actually be good? Will it actually smell good? Well, let's go ahead and find out by cracking this open for the very first time and smelling it. Will I like the smell? I don't know, but I hope so. Let's go ahead, crack it open. That was a very satisfying crack open. And let's give this a little bit of a smell for the very first time, y'all. Oh, that smells very good. That does smell very good. Okay, so I'm getting a sweet citrus. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting a sweet citrus lemony smell. I definitely have to say there's probably some juniper berry in there for sure. I mean, like, it is a gin after all. If I had to guess, there's probably some juniper berry in there. And, I'm gonna give myself a minute. I'm gonna give myself a minute to just kind of really think about what this actually smells like. I would have to say that the main distinct smell I'm getting is that of lemon peel. I'm really getting a very distinct sort of lemon peel smell from this gin. Yeah, I'm getting sort of a sweet, citrus, slightly sour lemon peel sort of smell, with a bunch of different other things going on. Now, thankfully, I can't smell any licorice from this. It supposedly contains it, but I do not like the smell or taste of licorice personally, so I'm very glad I cannot smell any of it, and I hope I cannot taste any of it either. But yeah, no, if I had to guess, the main two smells I'm really noticing right now are probably that of the, lemon peel with the juniper berry. And I'm sure everything else is kind of in there, but I don't think my nose is quite trained enough to gin to be able to tell everything apart, I will acknowledge. My nose is trained to tobacco and tobacco varieties, not to alcohol, so it's one of those things where I don't really know the exact how to smell everything in a gin, I'll acknowledge. But what I can say is that this does smell very good. This does smell very good. Yeah, that sort of sweet, citrusy, slightly sour, sort of lemon zest, lemon peel smell with a little bit of juniper berry underneath. Smells great. Smells great. Let's go ahead and get my glass out and pour some in my glass. And let's go ahead and grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail and find out if the Bombay Sapphire gin is blue tinted, which I do think it is. Looking at this now, that's definitely blue tinted. Or if it's, is the Bombay Sapphire gin itself blue tinted, or is it the bottle? I think it's the bottle if I had to guess, but who knows? Let's find out, let's find out. It is just the bottle. It is just the bottle. It is just the bottle. Just to give everybody a heads up, the Bombay Sapphire gin itself is not blue. It is not blue. It is the bottle that is blue, not the gin on the inside, which, you know, it is what it is kind of thing. It is what it is. It ain't a big deal. Let's go and grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail real quick. I'll have to like tint the liquid blue like in post for the thumbnail. That'll be like, I don't know, just kind of funny, I feel like, honestly. Just like tint the Bombay Sapphire gin itself in the glass blue, even though it's not blue in real life. I don't know. It's kind of clickbait, but it would be kind of funny to do that, like, not gonna lie. For the thumbnail, let's go ahead and give the Bombay Sapphire gin a smell in my glass, though. Sometimes the smell of liquor changes once you actually pour it in the glass. Let's see what it smells like. Yeah, it doesn't really change, honestly. I'm maybe getting a little bit more of a depth of flavor, but that's it, I would say. I would have to say smell-wise, or depth of flavor, depth of smell, to say that correctly. I would have to say smell-wise, I'm very much getting that of more of the same that I already described, but a little bit less sweet, citrusy, I would say. I think the juniper berry is a little bit more prevalent. Also, the sort of just alcoholiness of it is a little bit more prevalent as well. But I would definitely say that that lemon zest is still in there for sure. Like, I'm still getting that of a slightly sweet, slightly sour, citrusy lemon zest, and then after that sort of juniper berry sort of alcohol smell, I would say, and that's very much what I'm noticing from the Bombay Sapphire gin. Well, I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and take a sip of the Bombay Sapphire gin for the very first time, and I should probably go ahead and find out just how it actually is, what it's actually like, and just how different it is from what I've tried previously. This is a London Dry. Will it taste dry? I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Let's find out. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying. Oh, that's very flavorful. And that hit, I kind of let it sit on my tongue for a second. It might have been a little bit of a mistake, I will acknowledge. Very prominent taste. Very prominent taste on my tongue, for sure. Sweet, fruity flavors are kind of what comes to my mind first. It really did hit. It kind of burned just a little bit, I'll acknowledge. Like, the Bombay Sapphire, drinking it straight, it was burning. It burned, and I've got more to drink straight. It's just going to continue burning until I get used to it burning, I do figure. Whew, all right. Well, I feel like I got a burp already. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and drink some more. Definitely sipping it a little bit more quickly. Where I don't let it sit on my tongue was the better idea, because that wasn't nearly as rough as the first time. Taste-wise, it's definitely different. It's definitely different than the gin I've tried previously. Now, the gin I tried previously was the Roku gin from Japan, which is certainly not a London Dry. It is very much a Japanese-style gin, I figure, at least. I really enjoy the Roku gin. I really liked it. And I'm finding the Bombay Sapphire to be similar yet different. No question in my mind. Similar yet different for sure. It's very interesting. It is very interesting. It's similar yet different in more ways than just the prominent separate flavors kind of thing. Because, of course, the flavors, the botanicals, in the Roku Gin versus the Bombay Sapphire are different. Of course, there's juniper berry in both, but in the Roku Gin, there's a mainly yuzu-like flavor, whereas here, that's mostly like lemon peel kind of thing. So the flavor intricacies are definitely different yet similar at the same time kind of thing, but just how the flavor comes across, it is very distinctly gin. Does this actually taste dry due to the fact that it is a London dry gin, though? Not really. It actually tastes kind of wet, honestly. Ooh, wow. I tried the Wild Turkey 101 whiskey a couple days ago. Really enjoyed it. That was definitely smoother than this, and that was already a little bit rough. This is definitely, I don't know if you're meant to drink the Bombay Sapphire straight, but I am, and it's a bit rough. Maybe I'm just not very good at drinking straight liquor. I got no idea. I don't do it very often, but yeah. Mouthfeel-wise, I would have to say it's very much that of a smooth yet hard, sort of watery mouthfeel. Like, it's got a sort of like hard water tinge to it, in my opinion, but it's a very smooth hard water. So yeah, it's sort of, the mouthfeel is sort of like hard water, but very smooth, like silky smooth kind of thing. Roughness-wise, it is very rough in the back of your throat, but mouthfeel-wise, it's quite silky smooth. Yeah, I would have to say, mouthfeel-wise, it is that of a very silky smooth, sort of watery, hard water mouthfeel, in my personal opinion. Doesn't come across like soft water, it very much comes across like hard water. So yeah, it's got a silky smooth, sort of watery mouthfeel, in my personal opinion. Flavor-wise, there's a lot going on and not a lot going on at the same time. But I feel like the more I drink, the more I'm going to notice, and I feel like that's why I kind of feel like there's not a lot going on right now, because I haven't drank enough to notice. That's probably what it is, honestly. I should probably drink some more. Flavor-wise, it's interesting. The main prominent flavor I get isn't any of the intricacies. It isn't any of the distinct flavors that they have listed on the side of the bottle. It's just sweetness. This is a very sweet liquor. So I get that of a sweet flavor up top. A little bit of burn in the back of my throat for sure. And then I would have to say I get sort of a fruity flavor. A fruity sort of citrusy flavor. I would have to say, I think the flavor I'm noticing right now, and I'm noticing multiple different flavors, I'm just trying to think of the right order to put them in. But I feel like I'm noticing juniper right now. Now, I've never had juniper in anything but gin before, so I don't really know what juniper tastes like on its own. But I feel like that's probably the juniper right now. I feel like it is. But then underneath the juniper, there's definitely that of a sort of citrus, zesty, lemon zest, lemon peel sort of flavor going on. And then under that, I mean, like, I'm just looking at the intricacies that are listed on the side of the bottle. I mean, like, cubeb berries, grains of paradise, cassia bark, almonds, coriander, angelica, orris. Honestly, I'm not really noticing much of that at all. I'm sure it's there. I don't doubt that all of that is there. I'm just not really noticing it, frankly put. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty good. I think I can definitely say I like the Bombay Sapphire gin. Honestly, one of the things I really like about it is how you can sip it straight without it becoming too much. The Roku gin, I really like. I love the Roku gin. It's fantastic. But when sipping it straight, it can become actually a little bit too overwhelmingly sweet over time. Whereas, while the Bombay Sapphire gin is sweet, don't get me wrong, it's not overwhelmingly so. It's not got a flavor that's going to overwhelm my taste buds. In my opinion, the Roku gin which I tried previously, is a little bit more flavorful, I would say. And the flavors are just far more distinct than the Bombay Sapphire, whereas the Bombay Sapphire is a little bit more, while it's there and it's distinct, especially when compared to something like, let's say, vodka, it is more understated than not when compared to Roku Gin, I will acknowledge. Just trying to think flavors off the top of my head. It feels really nice out here, though, I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of warm earlier today, but man, it feels good out here right now. Sun's gonna be going down in like 5 minutes. Wee ball, though, wee ball. I checked the time and I was like, 5 minutes? What? I'm sitting out here until I do everything I want to do, though. I ain't moving. Ain't nothing to stop me from enjoying my drink, that's for sure. Flavor-wise, honestly, as I've been sipping, I haven't really noticed too much more on top of what I've already noticed. I'm not getting any sort of an almond flavor or a nutty flavor, particularly. Not getting coriander or cubeb berries or grains of paradise. I think these are really all flavors that you're really not meant to notice. Like the licorice, it says it's there. I am super sensitive to the flavor of licorice. I don't taste any licorice. I don't. I think a lot of what the botanicals they have listed on the side of the bottle, that's not a flavor guide. That is them just flexing what exotic botanicals they used in their gin. Doesn't mean you actually taste it. Might have an impact on the flavor, but it doesn't mean you actually taste it, kind of thing. Not everything that goes into everything is, or I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. When something has a lot of ingredients, but you notice one or two things really shining through and you don't really taste the other things, those other things are still putting in a lot of work. They're putting in a lot of work to make those other one or two things shine a lot. And to make the flavor what it is, even if you don't notice it. It's as they say with movies. Something that looks effortless might actually have a lot of effort put into making it look effortless and making it look really clean and nice, kind of thing. And I'm kind of getting the feeling that the Bombay Sapphire is kind of like that, where they've put a lot of ingredients in it. But you can't taste the vast majority of the ingredients just because there's two that are so prominent, and the rest of them are just kind of in the background, just kind of elevating the entire flavor more. I don't know, that's just kind of my personal take on Bombay Sapphire. I'm not really noticing anything but that lemon and juniper berry, frankly put. Yeah, overall, as a gin to drink straight, I think it's really solid. I think it's really solid to drink straight, frankly put. A little bit rough at first, but it's definitely smoothed out as I've gotten used to drinking it. And flavor-wise, in my opinion, it has very much that of a sort of sweet, slightly surprisingly honey-like sort of citrus, sweet and sour, lemon zest flavor with an undertone of juniper berries, I feel like. I don't know, maybe that honey is the juniper berries. I have no idea where that honey flavor is coming from. I don't know. I'm gonna have the rest of this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know exactly what I think the flavor of the Bombay Sapphire is really like once and for all. That's warm, though. Oh, that's warm. Whoa, haha, that's warm. That's very warm. Flavor-wise, yeah, really the flavors I notice are the two flavors I already mentioned. I'm not really noticing a crazy amount of depth to the Bombay Sapphire. Looking at the bottle, you'd totally think that there would be a lot of depth. But I'm not noticing any of that in flavor. I'm sure all those flavors are there. I'm sure all of those different botanicals are there, but they're not noticeable. They're just kind of in the flavor, but you don't notice them as distinct separate entities. There's a lot of effort put into making this drink look effortless, kind of thing. And the flavor of this drink would probably not be the same without those botanicals for sure. But what I'm noticing from the flavor is as pretty much what I've mentioned. It's that of a sort of sweet, almost sort of honey-like, citrusy, yet at the same time sour, lemon zest flavor with an undertone of juniper berries. And maybe a little bit of a sort of woodsy flavor underneath that. And that's kind of the flavor I'm noticing from the Bombay Sapphire. Yeah, sort of a sweet, honey-like, sweet and sour lemon zest, a little bit of juniper berry, a little bit of sort of woodsy flavor, and that is more so than not what I'm noticing. Excuse me. And when I say woodsy flavor, it's sort of like woodsy in a half smoky way. I don't know if that's, I'm trying to think on it. See, the flavor has depth, but it's kind of like, it's just hard to pinpoint everything, so it's just really, really, really difficult to describe. Like, even just thinking about it in my head, I'm like, I know there's different stuff going on, but I can't think of, like, the right words to really describe what is going on. So do take what I say in regards to the flavor with a grain of salt during this video. But yeah, I really do feel like sweet, almost sort of honey-like, citrus, sour, lemon zest, juniper berry, a little bit of a sort of woodsy sort of flavor going on in the background. And that woodsy flavor is not a sort of smoky flavor now that I think about it. That's kind of what the flavor of the Bombay Sapphire is really like. And that's kind of what I'm going to leave it at. Because if I think about this too much, I'm going to be thinking for the next 20 minutes. And I want some more alcohol. I want a gin and Sprite for the very first time. And so as such, I'm going to go ahead and mix that up in just a moment, I do think. Is there anything else I wanted to mention about drinking the Bombay Sapphire gin straight? Did I enjoy drinking it straight? I certainly did. I really enjoyed it. I think that this is honestly better to drink straight than the Roku gin, which I already enjoyed a lot. Now, is this as interesting to drink straight? I don't think so. I think this has, don't get me wrong, an interesting flavor, an in-depth flavor, but not as much of a flavor that really keeps you interested as the Roku gin, if you ask me. Nonetheless, though, the Bombay Sapphire gin is very interesting to drink straight, is pretty nice to drink straight, and I enjoyed drinking it straight today. What about the London Dry aspect of the Bombay Sapphire, though? Honestly, I thought it was going to be, like, really dry and, like, very different from the Roku gin I tried previously, but it really wasn't. I mean, like, yeah, there's differences in, like, the general flavor profile and stuff, but more so than not, it was not, like, insanely different from what I've tried previously. It might just be Bombay Sapphire, but maybe, if anything, the biggest difference was that the flavor was a little bit less intense than the Roku gin. Other than that, it was very recognizably gin, and I didn't notice the fact that it being a London Dry as having a significant impact on my impressions of how the mouthfeel is or how the flavor comes across or anything like that kind of thing. I thought it was going to be, like, literally taste a little bit drier kind of thing, because liquid can taste dry, but it really didn't. It tasted very moist. It tasted very wet, I'll acknowledge. Is London Dry really a style of gin, or I don't know what it really means, honestly. I have no idea, but the whole London Dry aspect of the Bombay Sapphire didn't really hit as hard as I expected it to, I will acknowledge. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get a little mini mixer can of Sprite all out of my cooler. I have it next to me. Got my Sprite right here, and let's go ahead and grab my Bombay Sapphire and pour just a little bit in my glass. How much do I want for my mixed drink today? I think I want, let's go with, that much looks good to me. I think that's about what I would normally do for a mixed drink like this. And let's go ahead and crack open my can of Sprite. Just like that. And pour it in. Now, this has been in my cooler for quite a while. It is quite the cold can of Sprite. I'm gonna use the whole thing. Ho, 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 ho. I can. I use the whole can, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, well, let's go and take a sip before I spill this. Oh yeah, that's really good. I really like that. Oh wow. Yeah, the gin just adds a depth of flavor to the Sprite that is honestly much needed. I don't really drink a lot of Sprite very much because, honestly, I don't really find that there's a lot of depth of flavor. I enjoy drinking Sprite like on like warm days, like every once in a while kind of thing, but it's never been like a go-to just drink on its own to me, and it's never been a go-to mixer for me either, just because, I don't know, it's just not exactly my thing. Nah, this is really nice. The Bombay Sapphire just adds another level of depth that is honestly much needed from Sprite, in my opinion. Like, Sprite is good, don't get me wrong, but the flavor itself is kind of meh, baseline. I like it. It tastes good, but it's kind of baseline flavor. But the Bombay Sapphire, the gin, just makes it a little bit more interesting. And when I say a little bit more interesting, I mean as interesting as I kind of want. I like gin and Sprites. I could just say that right off the top of my head. I like gin and Sprites. It's good. Is good. Figured to finish off this, which I had a little bit of before the video. I am feeling a little bit buzzed from the Bombay Sapphire, though. I mean, like, you know, that, what is it? It's 47%. That'll hit. This is really nice, though. This, wow, yeah. No, I really like gin and Sprites. I think that, like, low-key might be my go-to, like, gin mixed drink, at least for this moment in time, until I find, like, another one I really like. Like, I've tried a gin and yuzu soda before with the Roku gin. I really enjoyed that. I like gin and Sprite even more. This is a really good mixed drink. Wow, yeah. No, it's super solid. And the Bombay Sapphire just complements. Like, I don't know if a gin and Sprite would work as well with the Roku gin, honestly. Just because the Roku gin is, I feel like, a little bit too different from the flavor of the Sprite, but with the sort of lemon zest flavor in the Bombay Sapphire, it really does just pair so well with the flavor of the Sprite. So I don't think the Roku gin would honestly make for a very good gin and Sprite, but the Bombay Sapphire certainly does. Yeah, it's really nice. And I can absolutely see myself having another gin and Sprite later on tonight if I want one, like low-key. Low-key. Very solid beverage, if I do say so myself. So what are my final thoughts, though? What are my final thoughts on all of the things I've done today? Tried Bombay Sapphire gin for the very first time, tried a London Dry gin for the very first time, tried a gin and Sprite for the very first time as well. What are my final thoughts on everything? I had a great time today. I'm like, this was a really good time. Bombay Sapphire, let's cover this portion by portion kind of thing. Bombay Sapphire gin, I found to be really good. Definitely different than the gin I've tried previously, for sure. Bombay Sapphire, a little bit more of a mild flavor than the Roku gin. A little bit of a different flavor when it comes to the intricacies, for sure, but still very much recognizably and gin. No question in my mind. And overall, I really like the Bombay Sapphire gin, both when drank straight and when mixed into a gin and Sprite as well. Don't know how it'll be with a like gin and tonic. I'm not really one for tonic water. I realize with gin and tonics, and I have tried a gin and tonic once before, but I didn't like it very much. I do realize I kind of messed up my my gin and tonic experience previously. I didn't add any ice. I also didn't add like any like lime juice or anything, which is supposedly a necessary ingredient that I didn't think was a necessary ingredient, but it very much is. So I didn't really enjoy gin and tonic when I tried it the first time, but I do think the Bombay Sapphire, if you enjoy gin and tonics, is without a doubt going to be good in a gin and tonic. It's good in a gin and Sprite, so I think it's going to be good in a gin and tonic as well. Yeah, Bombay Sapphire, good as a mixer, good to drink straight. Excuse me, really enjoyed it. And overall, the flavor of the Bombay Sapphire is a little bit less intense than really what I expected, in all honesty. I was really expecting it to be a little bit more intense of a flavor, like the Roku Gin, but that was very much not the case. It was really, compared to the Roku Gin, kind of a mild flavor. Very intense compared to something like, let's say, vodka or Everclear or something like that kind of thing. But definitely much more mild than not when compared to the Roku Gin. No question in my mind. But definitely, the Bombay Sapphire. A very interesting gin that I really like, that was a worthwhile purchase. I'm glad I bought this, and I can definitely see myself buying another bottle of the Bombay Sapphire again in the future, whether to drink straight or to mix into drinks. I can definitely see myself buying another bottle in the future. As a sipper, I think the Bombay Sapphire is a very solid 8 out of 10. It's not quite interesting enough to keep me like super interested. However, it is nonetheless a solid mixer that does not become overwhelming over time. It really kind of gets to a certain level and then stays there, which I really like. So overall, a solid sipper, but not the most interesting sipper in the world in my personal opinion. As a mixer though, it's like a solid like 9.5 out of 10. Like Bombay Sapphire, I really do think it's a great mixer. And so overall, I'm going to have to give the Bombay Sapphire Gin, I think, a very solid rating of 9 out of 10. I think I'm going to have to give it a very solid 9 out of 10 rating. Now, due to the Bombay Sapphire being the second gin I've ever tried, my rating in my head may change in the future, so I may refer to Bombay Sapphire as a different rating in the future or something along those lines. But as of this moment in time, as of this video, Bombay Sapphire is a 9 out of 10. London Dry, I don't know what London Dry really means, honestly. I don't know if London Dry just means, oh, it's made in England. I have no idea. I was definitely thinking it was going to be different, like mouthfeel-wise, and I felt like it was going to have, I thought it was going to have like a sort of drier flavor from the Roku Gin. Not really, though. It wasn't a dry flavor by any means. In fact, it was a pretty wet flavor. Good flavor, but a pretty wet flavor. And, like, honestly, I'm going to have to look up what London Dry really means, because I honestly don't know. But what I can say is that it was good. Based off this one experience, at least I like London Dry gin, I suppose, at least. And overall, gin and Sprite, gotta admit, fantastic. Really good. The gin just adds that next level, the gin really does just add that next level of flavor that I want just so much from Sprite. It really does just add that extra level of flavor. And that is something that I really do appreciate. That's something I really do like. And I think I can say with certainty that I do quite enjoy the gin and Sprite that I have with me today. And I definitely can say that I've got a little bit of a buzz going on. What's my rating for this mixed drink? I like it a lot. This is like a solid 8.5 out of 10. I might not like it quite as much as something like, let's say, whiskey and Dr. Pepper or an Everclear and Coke, but I think a solid 9 out of 10 is pretty deserving for a gin and Sprite. I really like this. This is really good. Like a whiskey highball is still my number one, I gotta admit. Everclear and Coke, whiskey and Dr. Pepper, those are like my top mixed drinks kind of thing. This is like a solid, like just right below those. This is so good. I've tried a couple different like varieties of liquor with Sprite. Each time I've kind of been like, it's okay. I really like this. This is gin and Sprite is super good. And the gin just adds that next level of depth to the Sprite that I really want. This is really good. I really like gin and Sprites. No complaints on my behalf. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? Anything else I wanted to bring up during this video today? I don't think so. I think that was just about everything. I will acknowledge. Well, I have quite the buzz going. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm going to be chilling for a little while, no question in my mind, and think I'm going to be having a great rest of my day. I got no complaints on my behalf, that is for sure. And I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video today. I know I've enjoyed making it quite a bit. Make sure, if you guys haven't already, to go check out my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. As said, the link is in the comments and description down below. Make sure to go check out my new book, available on Amazon now for $14.99. It's a great purchase. Highly recommend, of course. And yeah, make sure to have a great rest of y'all's day. I'm going to finish this off, and I'm going to finish off the video. Excuse me. Well, I think that's all there was to this. Let's go ahead and stub it out on the ground. It hasn't really been raining in my local area. It's supposed to rain tonight for like the first time in like 2 weeks, but it hasn't really been raining in my local area, so got to make sure I don't be causing no field fires or anything like that. And I think that's all there was I had to say for this video today. Appreciate y'all watching today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching today's video. If you guys have, like, subscribe. Make sure to go check out everything in the description down below, including but not limited to my poetry book, my website, which has my Instagram and everything like that on it. Go check it all out. Appreciate y'all watching today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next one, stay safe and peace, and have a great one.